Well, hello, EK Nation. Welcome to a new edition of This Week in Karting. It's episode number 91. We're into the 12th month of 2025, December the 9th, as we get set up, of course, to look towards the last couple of weeks of 2025 and then in the 2026. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole here, and today's This Week in Karting show brought to you by Kart CRG USA. CRG is one of the most iconic brands in karting, and we're primed and ready with new material and a never-ending focus on winning. Kart CRG USA is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, Kart CRG USA supports dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. Check out the CRG KT5 for tag and shift racing, the Black Mirror for cadet competition, and the FS4 for Briggs. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know the CRG Road Rebel, the standard and quality of performance, is still available. For more information on the CRG product line, head to kartcrgusa.com, or to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at info@kartcrgusa.com. All right, David Cole, got a weekend in the books. I was watching a lot of the Rotax Grand Finals event. You, of course, hammering out the coverage of that throughout the last week as well. We kind of talked about the fact that coming back from Supernats, you could maybe take a breath. But at least for your case, with all the stuff that was going on with Rotax, I think you've still been on the throttle all the way through here to the early weeks of December.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the Rotax event, but yeah, I mean it's 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? That's we're kind of like the radio station that we do have.
We do.
It's just nonstop action across the globe. Now obviously with the holidays coming up, there'll be a little bit of a break, but obviously there's racing going on this weekend. There's racing all over. And you have the Fat Karting League having their World Finals coming up this weekend in Willow Springs. You got other events down in the warmer states.
Daytona's coming.
Yeah, and Daytona's coming around the corner. Less than 2 weeks away from that, or 3 weeks really from that.
Yeah, last show was November the 25th, so a couple of weeks ago. Of course, lots going on, as we said. Let's dive into what's been hitting the homepage of ekartingnews.com as of late, and a couple really primary news items coming out. One involving the United States Pro Kart Series, and the second involving and focusing on a new series launching out at K1 Circuit in Winchester, California. Dave, let's start out with the United States Pro Kart Series. They've announced their 2026 locations as well as a number of series updates.
Yeah, that's one of the schedules that we've kind of been waiting for. We saw a number of other ones get announced. The dates for these were announced previously. There just were no locations. So United States Pro Kart Series came out with the locations during Thanksgiving week. That included heading to the Carolina Grand Prix, the Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. That'll be in April 10th through the 12th. Newcastle Motorsports Park will host a second round for the Indiana Grand Prix on June 26th through the 28th. USPKS returning back to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Grand Prix will be held on August 7th through the 9th, while the Lorain, Ohio Kartplex will join the mix, becoming a first-time location for USPKS on September 25th through the 27th. That'll be called the Lake Erie Grand Prix.
Yeah, the event, the track rather, Lorain, Ohio Kartplex, new, as we know, outside the Cleveland area, right on the shores of the southern shores of Lake Erie. Again, new facility coming together. I'll have 9 months through 2026 to get things all fully dialed in. But yeah, that's pretty big news, David, for USPKS finishing off the season at a brand new facility, getting all those USPKS drivers an opportunity to race down there at Lock.
It's certainly a condensed schedule when you look at geographically.
Yeah,
from North Carolina to essentially Ohio. With Indiana kind of in the middle, essentially, of that. So it's a very, very small region of where the actual races are going to be taking place. Last year we were in Daytona, we were at Road America. So you had a big wide span.
Very true. Yeah.
Geographically for the program. So this year, a little more condensed, adding the new Lorain, Ohio Kartplex.
Yeah. And again, obviously the first three events the tracks that are really become kind of core East Coast tracks, right? Trackhouse, Newcastle, and now the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. A lot of events taking place at MCC, the Bailiffs facility. So, yeah, three kind of core tracks. Again, as David said, North Carolina, Indiana, and Ohio. 2 races in Ohio with the finale as well. Up at Lorain, Ohio, Kartplex. David, more than just the actual 2026 locations coming out as well. They dropped a bunch of news, first and foremost regarding class structure, and then as well regarding the event structure that they'll have throughout 2026.
Yeah, the format news came out first. They're going to a 2-heat format with a super heat added to it. The 2 heats will be we'll set the grid for the superheat, and then points combined for the 2 heats and the superheat in kind of a 25, 50% type format. That'll set the grids for the mains. So a little bit of a change there. I kind of like this format. It's, as a math person, I love this. I love crunching the numbers, but it kind of takes away that, the issues if you have problems in qualifying. Yeah. So rather than starting in the same spot for 3 heat races, now if you move up in the 2 heat races, you get a better starting spot for the super heat, and then if you do better in the super heat, it moves you up even further for the main event. So I like it's a progressive type format without an actual progressive cup kart style starting where you finished type scenario.
Yeah, well, again, that's the thing, right? If you do the progressive and you've qualified really well, but you get taken out in the first heat race, you finish last, then really, despite the fact you had great speed, you qualified well, you get a DNF in the first race, and then you start at the back of the second race. So progressive isn't always the best way to go, at least for some people. This is an interesting kind of mix, as David said, with the 2 heats and the super heat as well. The other component that USPKS dropped during Thanksgiving week was the fact that they've kind of added, they've added 4 total categories. They're going to run together, but really the primary thing, David, is that the brain shifter's back. That's the big thing. Pro Shifter and KZ Masters, but they're also adding in both the KZ Masters and the KA100 Master category separate groups within a group for the Super Masters drivers, 45 years of age and older. We saw that kind of play well at the Rock Vegas event where they had that Super Masters category that drew a lot of racers out that would maybe not have come to battle against the 30 plus, 32 plus category. So that 45 and older, there's a lot of racers that have been around for a number of years who have raced nationally. That this may draw back both in the shifter and the KA100 categories.
Yeah, I'm on the negative side of this.
Yep. I know. Listen, there's I know why. Yep.
It now it's starting to look like WK stuff where we just have classes for everybody.
11 in total.
Yeah, 11 in total, and to me that's just too many for a program like this. Yes, you are going to have the Pro Shifter back on. So that's kind of the focal point, because again, it's a headline category. So you got KZ Masters and KZ Super Masters adding a race group. So going to 9 race groups now rather than the 7 we had last year.
Yeah.
And then KA100 Super Masters will run along with KA Masters. So that part, you're adding to the day's schedule. 11 categories. It's a lot to do. Maybe if it was only 3 race weekends, it might be a little different, but we're looking at 4 race weekends. I don't see the numbers. I don't know where they're going to be pulling the numbers from. I think that's kind of the problem, because, we look at the Vegas events. Oh yeah, they got great numbers there, but it's Vegas. It's a one-off type style event.
And a lot of Europeans and South Americans.
Exactly. Are you going to get people committed for 4 weekends to these 4 new categories?
Well, listen, you and I have talked a lot over the last number of years about how many races do the Pro Shifter guys even want to run. Even when SCUSA had their the Winter Series with the Pro Shifter category, they don't get 30 guys out to the Winter Series, right? And that's kind of the crazy thing. USPKS tried the Pro Shifter category a couple of years ago. It didn't draw big numbers. They dropped it. It's back. I would assume that there's been lots of conversations between the primary teams that run Pro Shifter drivers. Maybe they've said, hey, listen, if you do it, we'd like to come out to run. But this now makes David, 3 East Coast series running Pro Shifter. between SCUSA, USPKS, and Stars. That's a lot of racing for the pro shifter guys.
Well, don't forget, we'll talk about it later, but Florida Winter Tour as well too.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
We're it's again we're flooding the market. We'll talk a little more about
the
next topic too. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. Bottom line is this: if you're a USPKS racer, you know where you're going now. As David had said before, the schedule was announced for April 10th to 12th, June 26th to 28th, August 7 to 9, and September 25th to 27th. But we now know the races will be at Trackhouse, Newcastle, MCC, and the Lorain, Ohio Kartplex. Let's go to the other side of the country, East Coast to West Coast, and big news kind of dropping, David, that the RGMMC and K1 circuit teaming up to create a Champions of the Future America Series. The Champions of the Future running, and David will talk more about it in Europe, but now an outpost, a series happening in Southern California.
Yeah, essentially it's a glorified club program. So it's not necessarily what everybody thinks of when you think of Champions of the Future. Yeah. So in Europe, they have the international series that essentially is warm-ups for the FIA event. So if FIA OK and OK Junior categories are racing at Genk, the weekend before, Champions of the Future will be there as kind of the warm-up event. They also have the Academy program, which is all spec racing, which includes Kart Republic and Parolin, which we've seen a lot of U.S. drivers do well there. We saw when Godshock and Zane Burgess finished 1-2 in the Mini U10 category, and also finished second and third in the regular Mini category because they kind of run classes within a class kind of combination there. So, so people are familiar with this program. So it's, what's different is it's Americanized because it's going to run Mini Swift, Micro Swift, K Junior, K Senior, K Master, X30 Pro, and KZ. So now we have another program running the KZ platform. But again, this is more of a glorified club program because 8 of the weekends will be at the K1 circuit, with a double round weekend at the Spring Mountain Karting Complex in Pahrump, Nevada, which is about an hour outside of Las Vegas. So essentially it's almost a competitor to Challenge, competitor to Pro Kart, competitor to Tri-C, or any other programs that are out there on kind of the West Coast program.
Yeah, you'd want to call it a regional series, but it's not even a regional series. It's a club series.
That's why I said a glorified club, because it's one track with the addition of one other.
Well, it's essentially K1 Circuit's club series. Right. But they're branding it Champions of the Future with one drive-away race at Spring Mountain. Like you said, 9 weekends from January to September, 10 rounds all told. Listen, it's a big program in Europe. Obviously, Champions of the Future. We know there's so much racing going on in the U.S. The geographic nature of the simple size of the United States makes it very tough to have a lot of these programs. So, hey, listen, it's the people that run Championship of the Future wanted to get themselves over here. They have a great connection now, obviously, with K1 Circuit. It's going to be a very interesting for people like you and I, David, in the media, and those in the industry as well, to see how this plays out, because it really just, with the class structure, it sets up as a head-to-head, essentially, series opposite competition for the SCUSA California Pro Kart Challenge.
Yeah, it's going to go up against the Pro Kart Challenge for sure. That's kind of the basis. And again, Tri-C, who called K1 home, I don't think they're going to be calling K1 home anymore.
Not at all anymore. No.
So that's kind of the industry shakeup in terms of this new collaboration. And we like to use this kind of as our opinion podcast, right?
A little bit, yep.
Why couldn't Champions of the Future buy out USPKS? That might have been the better program. Like I'm thinking big picture wise, right?
Yeah.
Because again, this is, like you said, it's a club program essentially is what it's. So you're bringing an international name into a club program. Makes kind of no sense in terms of marketing. Like somebody from Florida and North Carolina shouldn't be flying across the country to go race this program, right? I don't see any kind of incentive for that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of
what I don't see is this isn't the way Champions of the Future is run. You know what I mean? This is not a typical Champions of the Future focus. That's not the way they run races. Like pick a one, it's a club series.
Yeah. So again, it's very interesting to see where the sport is turning for 2026. We thought 2025 was crazy. I think we're amping it up even more in 2026.
Yeah, it's the answer to the question no one asked. Hey, can we get more races?
Right.
We do not need any more races.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to make a connection with RGMMC a little bit, get some more info and details on kind of their mindset and what they're, obviously the US market is something everybody wants to be a part of. We've seen it with WSK. WSK came over for a couple of years, had actually international event here called the CKI, their American series as well too. So we've seen it kind of happen before. It's just going to be interesting to see kind of how this plays out.
In the end, I think this will be just essentially the RGMMC and Champions of the Future dropping, the first anchor in the U.S. Right?
It definitely is that
they want to grow. So whether this program in 2027, 2028 is going to grow to more racetracks, more kind of in the ideology of what the Champions of the Future has done over in Europe. Will that come? Right now, they're just, again, like I said, kind of throwing that arrow down, dropping some kind of a home base and going from there. That's kind of what I see them doing here. It's not obviously ideal for them. I can guarantee that they're not like, okay, this is what we want, is to start having a bunch of full on series at one track. But again, hit that start button and drop the anchor, right?
Yeah, it's a foot in the door. I think that's definitely what it is to start. And like I said, we'll see where this goes from there.
Indeed. All right, off to our first break of this edition of This Week in Karting, episode number 91. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole. We come back, we'll jump into a little bit of an industry segment talking about a couple of well-known names within the industry. History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Welcome to AIM Sports and the groundbreaking Micron 6 karting data logger. Since its inception, AIM Sports has been at the forefront of motorsport technology, revolutionizing how racers gather data. From its early days, AIM has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and we're excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and a host of wired and wireless expansions. With 2 CAN buses, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. With its advanced suite of sensors, high-speed data acquisition, and easy-to-use interface, the Micron 6 delivers unparalleled performance on track. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this powerful tool helps you analyze every turn, every lap, even every heartbeat. Imagine a tool that not only records your lap times, but also analyzes parameters like speed, tire temperature, driver inputs, and engine performance. With the Micron 6, you'll gain insights that can shave seconds off your times and elevate your skills behind the wheel. Don't just drive, be data-driven. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6. to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron.
Welcome back to This Week in Karting here in the EKN Radio Network. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, episode number 91. It's December the 9th, 2025. Just a couple of weeks left in this calendar year before we flip the page and move over to 2026. David, a couple of industry segments here in this particular part of This Week in Karting. And we've talked about it a little bit before. There's been stuff, of course, on the homepage of eKarting News about it as well. We saw him at the Super Nationals. But a driver we all know, Jordan Musser, three-time Rotax U.S. champion, five-time SCUSA Pro Tour champion. This guy's been at the very top of the sport for the last couple of decades. But Jordan is kind of rolling out through everything he's done through motorsports, starting to kind of get into the actual industry side of karting as well with Musser Technical. He's got a kind of an experience-centric effort that he's done over his years. Got a couple of products, David, that he's rolling out here for karting.
Yeah, it's great to see kind of the expansion of Musser into the industry side of it. Obviously, he's been one of the top drivers we've seen in the sport over the last 20 years, you know, going back to the Rotax days of winning 3 straight there at Grand Nationals. So, so he's been a very innovative person. And that's what if you've seen him on his personal social media with the Porsche stuff and all the car stuff that he's been doing. So now he's kind of taking that kind of passion and innovativeness into karting and working with kind of the first product really is kind of the AIM Sports Smarty Cam and how to kind of get the right components to make it work and kind of be more simplistic for karting. So kind of the battery and mount system that he has to kind of power the AIM Sports Smarty Cam takes away from using the juice in the actual gauge itself. So it gives it its own power unit. So that's kind of one of the first products he came out with, but he's also kind of focused on the mount for the camera. The welded version, one that goes on the radiator, is now SCUSA approved. He also has a non-welded version of that as well, that, you know, club racers and other programs, you can use that in other programs as well.
Let's focus with the AIM Smarty Cam. You know, Jordan, of course, a shifter card guy. This is focused primarily right now on the liquid cooled categories, right? Because the mounts we're talking about are radiator mounts. He's working on some stuff for 100cc air cooled, but this is a radiator camera mount, which is it's a really cool program he's come up with.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, one of them is the welded one, which is SCUSA approved. That's obviously a big hurdle to kind of get over, because we've seen, Supercarts USA not allowing like the sticker mounts like we had in the past. So,
That's it.
So yeah, he's definitely putting the work in. And so it's going to be exciting to see all the different products that Musser is going to be able to put together for karting. Yeah, the overriding name is Musser Technical, but it's kind of Mustech Pro are the products he's coming out with. You can see those. We had an article on ekartingnews.com. We've posted. We share a lot of Jordan's social media at Musser Technical as well. So if you haven't had a look at that, jump online and take a look at that. David, you actually got a chance to kind of sit down and talk to some people involved with this new Haddock Special Formula karting oil. Lynn Haddock, of course, one of the legends of our sport, now working with Klotz Oils, another company that's been around for 60 years developing products for motorsports, including karting as well. I used Klotz Oil when I first started, actually, as well. When I was doing four-cycle racing here in Ontario, I was a Klotz Oil guy. But they're working with Lynn on a brand new program and brand new product, which I think is super cool. Yeah, it's actually a product that Lynn has kind of developed over the last 5 years. And when we talk about Lynn, we're talking about Lynn Haddock, a veteran and a legend in our sport of karting. He was actually doing it for the vintage side of things, kind of developing an oil that would, kind of work with what they were doing on the vintage side of things. And it kind of just grew from there, more and more kind of demand, and Klotz came in and decided to work with Lynn. And so now they've developed the special formula karting oil. And again, they're kind of focused on grassroots level. Lynn wants to make sure this isn't something to take over the world in the industry. This is for those in road racing, those in dirt, those in sprint that have the open oil kind of rule structure where you can come in and use whatever oil you need for your 2-cycle engines. So again, it's kind of grassroots focus, and that's Klotz. We've seen, as you said, 60 years of in the motorsports, and they've had a long history with the sport of karting as well too. If you go and check out, Klotz website, they have a lot of history within the sport of karting. So this is just another edition of supporting karting, especially at the grassroots level.
Fun fact for you, David. Klotz. This was back when I was first starting working for Performance Racing News, and I was using Klotz, and I sent them a bunch of pictures because I put the decal on my cart. They actually put a picture of me in the cart on one of their brochures. I think it was 1998.
Look at you.
Back in the day. Yeah. That was
Superstar.
Cool. That was very cool. But yeah, again, great to see a couple of, legendary names together producing a product, Lynn Haddock and Klotz Oil. So awesome to have them together. And of course, that article made its way to ekartingnews.com. David got a chance to talk with Lynn and the good folks at Klotz as well. So check that out on the website if you haven't already. Another quick break. When we come back, the word is registration, because 2026 is right around the corner. It's almost time to go racing. If you are, time to get registered. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the season include the Ignite Majors that begin with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week, running in both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, featuring 5 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in states all across the country, Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to episode 91 of This Week in Karting here on the EKN Radio Network. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, as always. And David, like I said before the break, this particular segment's essentially all about registration. We're going to give you some schedules while we're doing it. But yeah, registration open for both, first and foremost, the 2026 Florida Winter Tour and the 2026 SuperKarts USA Winter Series. The Winter Series kicking things off January 9th to the 11th at Speed Sports Racing Park. But David, if you're going racing, time to get registered. Let's go.
Yeah, Florida Winter Tour starts off January 16th through the 18th, Orlando Kart Center. They'll head back to Orlando in February 6th through the 8th, and then over to T4 Kartplex March 6th through the 8th. And remember, the new Rock SV Senior category is joining the Florida Winter Tour along with the KZ platform. They'll also do Rock Shifter and Rock Shifter Masters, Rock Shifter Masters along with Super Masters, and then they'll have the VLR Super Masters as well. So again, the craze of the 45 years and older market is happening for sure.
Well, listen, I think it's a good thing. I think a lot of people jumped out. We'll point the finger at Scott Falcone a little bit for the Rock Vegas event. He talked with Mike Burrell from Rock Cup USA and said, listen, there's a lot of guys out here who are 45 and up that would love to be able to come out to Rock Vegas and run that big event at the Rio, but do we want to do it if we're racing against a bunch of guys that are in their early 30s? That's the reason for Masters, because guys in Masters at 30, 32 years old don't want to have to be racing against 16, 17, 18-year-olds in KA or VLR or whatever it may be, right? So there's a lot of guys out there that still want to go racing. CKNA Legends is a perfect example. 45 plus at the Grand Nationals. That's 50 and up. There are guys that are older who want to keep going racing. So you mentioned it though, David. Let's see how it goes. Rock Vegas, yes, people want to come up to Vegas. We'll see how many Supermasters show to go racing for the Florida Winter Tour.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Again, less is more. That's always kind of been my anti-math statement. But the less events we have, the more people go to those that we do have, and vice versa. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with the addition of all these categories. Obviously, Supercarts USA is sticking with their standardized category platform. I don't believe they're doing shifters this time around. However, that's what I got. Figure out.
You go look at that real quick. So Supercarts USA Winter Series, January 9th, 10th, and 11th. Both events are happening at Speed Sports Racing Park, and that's a big move. The Winter Series, since its inception, has been in the state of Florida, right? They've been running in Florida. We're down at Homestead, AMR Homestead, Miami Kartplex for a while there, racing up at Orlando Kart Center as well. Now both events at Speed Sports Racing Park. One will essentially kick off the Winter Series January 9th to the 11th. And then February 13th to the 15th. So the first one's actually the week before the Florida Winter Tour for Rock Cup. The second race is the week after Orlando Kart Center on February 13th to the 15th. Both events happening at Speed Sports. David, do you get the class structure there?
Yeah, they are actually offering both pro shifter and master shifter. So
I would expect they're waiting for 10 entries though.
Yeah, I'm assuming they'll drop them once they don't get the 10 entries. It doesn't say that they'll drop them if they don't get it, but I'm assuming that's what will happen but again, we have lights there. So, I mean, we saw it last year when we ran in Orlando with the lights. So, they could still run it. Pro X30, X30 Junior, K Senior, K Junior, K Master, Mini, and Micro Swift, and Pro Shifter and Master Shifter. But no Master Shifter on the Pro Tour class structure. However, for 2026, that is confirmed on the website.
Yeah, and again, I know we had a couple of guys talking to the Supernats, and I said, "Listen, there's nothing we can do. But if you want to get Masters back on the Pro Tour, get 15, 20 of your buddies in Master Shifter." Tell them you'll roll in and get registered for the whole season. There's a way to get it done. If you're a master shifter driver and you're not gonna, you're pissed that they're not running it on the Pro Tour, step up, right? Get the guys together and go racing. Otherwise, I get it. Because David, you talk about it all the time. You had a class, and how much time is it every day, right? Is it another hour a day to have a class on the structure?
Yeah, depending on how your format is and everything else. Yeah, it's at least you got warm up, qualifying, pre-final, and final. So that's 4 sessions. For the Winter Series and Pro Tour. So yeah, you're looking at hour and a half at least.
Yeah, for what, sometimes 8, 7, 8, 9 guys. It just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense on the national level. We know that. That's a given. As he laughs. Registration open, as we said, folks, for the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour and the Supercarts USA Winter Series. First things first, Dave, though, for the Challenge of the Americas, not quite opening up registration, but number reservation. If you're a returning customer at the Challenge and you want your number, get it done right now.
Yeah, number reservation open for those returning customers, and then December 10th, it'll go to the public. So again, people love numbers. They love having their specific race number. It's $50 through the Race Select program. So competitors can do that. Looking forward to a 4-round weekend program not 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 4 weekends for Challenge of the Americas in 2026, heading to K1 circuit in February, PKRA in April, Colorado karting circuit at Centennial Airport for the first time for the Challenge in May 29th through the 31st, and then ending up July in Sonoma. Rob, that's going to be a warm weekend, I think.
Well, for you, I won't be there. Obviously, sadly, I could only make 2 of the 4 races with the conflicts I have with the USF Pro Championship. So I will be at K1 kart circuit in February, coming straight from USF spring training, and the weekend before the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. I won't make Portland. I will be at Colorado karting circuit, which I'm excited about, getting out there the week after the Indianapolis 500. And then, Sonoma in the middle of July. That will be interesting. It'll be green at least.
No, it'll be brown.
Oh, it could be brown. You're right.
Yeah, all the grass will be brown. So that's the nice thing about being there in March or April is you do get the green grass, and so it helps with the colors. But yeah, brown. Last time we were there, I think was in the summer, was that Summer National, or was it Summer Nationals? It might have been the Spring Nationals.
Probably Spring Nats, yeah.
2017, I think.
Was it July, though? Was that July?
It was June, I think.
June. Yeah, I don't think it was July, exactly. Yeah. Wow, that's still, okay, well, there you go, folks. That's, again, for Challenge of the Americas, the registration's not open yet. but number reservation is. Jump through Race Select, get your number reserved for the 2026 season. 4 events, 8 rounds, as David had said, through California. A couple races in California, 1 in Arizona, and 1 up in Colorado. All right, after another break, when we get back, David's going to dial through all the ECAN editorial that he's been pushing out here over the last couple of weeks.
Ever dream of competing in an international race against the best drivers in the world? This is your chance. The 2025 Rotax Racing Club California Championship Series, operated by Formula KFX, is an official qualifying event for the new Rotax Racing Club International Finals. The winner of the California Championship Series will receive a free spot in the 2026 International Finals event in Belgium. Your journey to the world stage begins in Sonoma, California on September 20th. Additional rounds of competition will take place on October 11th, November 15th, and December 13th at Sonoma Raceway Karting Center. Juniors, seniors, and masters drivers will battle it out in equally prepared Burrell Art N35X chassis karts with Rotax 125 Junior Max Evo engines. Secure your spot today in the Rotax Racing Club California Championship Series. Register at formulakfx.com/championship.
Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. The Parolin Le Mans full-size chassis for junior and senior classes and the Parolin Opportunity model for cadet divisions have earned success weekend after weekend at all the major championships and events in both the USA and throughout Europe. The Parolin chassis lineup also includes the Invader shifter, along with the Daytona 4-cycle chassis and the Delfino Kid Kart. Karters can head to the ParolinUSA.com website where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available all across North America. Parolin USA partners with several companies and race teams across the country to provide a strong dealer network to represent the brand locally and at the national level to support drivers throughout North America. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. Welcome back to episode 91 of This Week in Karting, going through a lot of stuff, registration, talking about some industry bits, and of course, a couple of serious information. We started things off with the USPKS and the new Champions of the Future America series at K1. David, let's dive into the next segment here, which is our kind of focus on the ECAN editorial. You've put together, over the last couple of weeks, put together a bunch of our original editorial, one of them, of course, being Driver of the Month.
Yeah, Driver of the Month for October. We were a little late on getting that out, but we were able to do that just before the calendar turned over to December. It was Samuel Chiavari, the Costa Rican driver who won the Mini-Max category at the RMC US Trophy Final at Newcastle Motorsports Park. So Samuel was able to represent Costa Rica, the lone driver from Costa Rica, the first time anyone from Costa Rica had gone to the Rotax Grand Finals since Danny Formal back in, I believe, 2019 when it was in Brazil. So, it was a great performance by Samuel, who jumped up to the mini category for that weekend. We also hit up some product spotlights. We did the Franklin Motorsports Easy Caster Camber Precision Plate for those with the Merlin, Parolin, and Kart Republic chassis. You have this plate that kind of provides you more options and more adjustability for the front end, including the caster and camber settings for the chassis. So a cool little unique product to have. And then also the Odenthal Racing Products Easy Bumper Retainer. These are essentially they're almost kind of multi-faceted product. Yep. Because they're a bit of a chassis saver, as Isaac Malkit found out when he lost his rear tire at the Super Nationals. It kept the frame off the ground because of the clamp system on the back of the frame, but it also helps to keep the rear bumper on as well too. So multifaceted product that the bumper retainer does. Again, made in the USA by Odenthal Racing Products. So a very cool item to have and to put on your kart.
David, I was going to start kind of detailing it, but then I said to myself, no, they can just go read it on eKarting News. So go check out the spotlight, the product spotlight that David put together. This Easy VR, their bumper retainer, a very cool component. Again, how many times do we call races where guys you've had a great run, you've worked your way from 25th up to 5th, and someone hammers you and you end up breaking that rear bumper and it's falling off, hanging, you get the black flag. This is essentially the retainer that's going to stop that from happening. So just a bolt-on component, David, super cool to potentially save you, because we've seen a number of drivers get DQ'd for that errant, rear bumper.
Yeah, and like I said, frame saver as well too for the rear of the chassis.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Last but not least, David, I know a lot of stuff going on. You kind of wrap things up as well for the Texas Sprint Racing Series.
Yeah, again, a championship review on the 2025 season for the Texas Sprint Racing Series. So make sure you check that out. See who finished on the podium in 2025.
All right, another break. When we get back, David and I are going to dive into our little discussion period we have during these This Week in Karting shows. Time to talk a little bit about the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals from Bahrain. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiKart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to a new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer SodiKart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers products in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. Sodi USA by Velocity Racing is the official race team in the United States for the brand, hitting all the major events and series throughout the season. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about the Sodi Kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. The state of Florida is the place to be if you want to win yourself a ticket to the 2026 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. The first opportunity to secure a ticket to next year's Grand Finals is the upcoming Rotax Max Challenge Winter Trophy. The two-event, four-round series takes place on consecutive weekends at the Orlando Kart Center in Orlando, Florida. Compete at the opening event of the 2026 Rotax Max Challenge Winter Trophy on January 23rd to 25th at OMC, and then return for the second doubleheader on January 30th to February 1st for your chance to compete against the best karters from around the world. The RTX USA Group is bringing in the best staff to oversee this year's four-round Rotax Max Challenge Winter Trophy Championship program that will hand out 6 tickets to the 2026 Rotax Grand Finals. Compete in Micro Max, Mini Max, Junior Max, Senior Max, Masters Max, DD2, and DD2 Master this winter in Orlando. Learn more by visiting rtxkarting.com today. Welcome back to this edition of This Week in Karting. We've gone through a lot of the news that's worked its way to the homepage of ekartingnews.com over the last couple of weeks. Again, over the last week, the majority of us, I think, here in the U.S. kind of having at least one eye on the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Bahrain. I know I was up early, as you were, David, a number of mornings watching those races. I was up super early, actually, to watch the finals on Saturday morning. To see how the drivers from USA and Canada did. This is kind of our What's Hot segment where we talk a little bit about the latest topics in the sport of karting. You want to kick things off? What are your thoughts, David, on the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals this year?
Yeah, again, a smaller team for USA, only 9 drivers this year. So that was kind of a disappointment in terms of that because we had no driver in Micro Max. So that was a kind of a black eye to the team, but we had solid drivers in all the different categories that we did have. Starting off with DD2, I thought we had a great performance by overall, not exactly the results they were looking for by Paulie Massimino and Macy Williams. Macy was strong throughout practice, definitely showed the pace, didn't quite get the qualifying session she wanted, so that kind of hindered her, and then contact in 2 of the 3 heat races. That obviously takes away from your opportunity to get into the main event. So kind of a bad ending for her, but really impressed with how Paulie Massimino, in his first time ever in a DD2, went out there and was top 10 all week long, and was able to finish 7th. Just an impressive performance, because again, it's not an easy transition. One, he kept talking about getting adjusted to the front end or front wheel brakes. Yeah. He's never driven with front wheel brakes, so it takes that. I think a track like Bahrain certainly helps, Rob, in the fact that it's a very wide open and long flowing racetrack.
Fast, for sure. Yeah, that kept coming into my mind, right? When I was waiting, I was watching all these races, and I kept saying to myself, just like you did, man, never driven the DD2 before. Even the way the rear of the car drives, right, with the way that the axle sets up through the DD2 engine, and then the front wheel and the brakes, like you said, just a lot for Paulie to kind of take over and learn early. But he kept moving his way forward, right? He kept doing it, kept moving forward, and I was hopeful in the main event, but obviously the kind of way things shook down in the pre-final and the final, it was, again, in the end, like you said, a great result overall.
Yeah, he had a bit of a brake issue on the left front, so it kind of hampered his pace. But the main thing is he got away from the chaos and was able to kind of stay clear. So it did keep him in the top 10. So overall, great performance. Senior Max, we had 3 drivers: Oliver Hodgson, Cooper Auclair, and Charlie Smith. Charlie Smith actually won his ticket racing in Europe all this year, running in the BNL series in Europe, so was able to go there. They all had good pace. Unfortunately, 2 disqualifications for Auclair, and Smith took them out of the running. So that left Hodgson open. He got taken out in the pre-final. So he was set to start probably inside the top 10 for the main event had he finished where he started in the pre-final.
Yeah.
Ended up starting 21st. So it was a really bad blow to kind of his performance to try and get back up on the podium once again. Ended up driving his way up to 10th. So overall, a good way to finish the week, even though the pre-final didn't go exactly how he wanted to go. And plus, he's a Masters driver, so he's racing against all the young kids.
That's true.
So again, a really good performance by him. Devin Roberts, not quite the performance he had last year in Sarno, so kind of struggled in the Junior Max category. I don't think he was quite as aggressive as he needed to be. It seemed like that. So again, that's kind of the thing with the road tax racing, Rob. We've seen it where aggressiveness can be bad, but it could also be a really good thing, right?
I saw, David, a lot of the comments we got from some of the drivers was they were kind of having to get used to the different way that they were driving there. And a lot of feedback came with the fact that really there was not much in terms of driver standards in terms of penalties. Yeah, they were kind of relying on the pushback bumpers, but I saw a lot of the feedback that we got from the drivers who were connecting with you to talk about their days at the track. And man, it was just like they weren't calling any penalties out there. It was just crazy.
Well, and Rob, that's European karting. I think that's something that a lot of these kids got to get used to. And we see it sometimes when they come when say a U.S. driver, even international guys come over here and race in the U.S. They're more aggressive because they don't call penalties over there. Yeah. They really don't. And when you look at results across the board, ironically, Enzo Di Janeiro got called for a penalty, and I'm still looking to see where that happened. But I saw, it's a strange combination because again, you get on here in the U.S., everybody wants penalties called, tons of penalties called. You go over there, they don't call anything. No. They don't. They really don't. So drivers kind of drive at a different level of aggression that we're used to seeing, especially here. Now, guys here do drive aggressively, but I think it's a different level when you go over there.
Yeah. I want to talk about one thing because I know that you and I chatted about it quite a bit last week. How about the debacle with with track limits during qualifying, and how it essentially scuttled an entire day because of the way there were so many penalties, so many track limit penalties. Everybody wanted to get Everybody wanted to protest the penalty of them getting a track limit, and it changed the schedule in a big way, David. Essentially canceling one of the days and moving all those heat races off to the next.
Yeah, that was kind of the black eye in the whole event itself, and that's the kind of the hard part when you have a facility like Bahrain where it's all pavement. The only thing I can relate it to is K1 or even Trackhouse. Where they have the rumble strips, and then everybody goes off the rumble strips to the concrete that's on the other side of the rumble strips that's not even part of the racetrack, and then coming back across the rumble strips onto the racetrack itself. So yeah, again, it's FIA is trying to obviously stick with in that with the road tax program, they're trying to adhere to the rules that they do have set. So but it just we even saw it in the main event. Guys are going four wheels completely off the rumble strips and coming back on the racetrack and getting no penalties. So, well, there was no penalty. There was no penalties for track limits in the races, were there? Exactly. So that's
why would they even do it in qualifying?
So that's the problem I think everybody had with if they're not consistent with the calls, why even make the calls? It's almost again no different than they're not calling any penalties. Why are you calling this one penalty when all these other same instances didn't get called? So I think that was kind of it was more the consistency of everything that was going on in terms of race call. And again, you get that no matter what event you're doing here in the US, across the world, whatever. Consistency is a big problem. We even saw it at Supernats, where consistency wasn't exactly there. And you get two drivers who are like, no, that wasn't a penalty. And then they don't even overturn it. They just still know that's a penalty. And you got the drivers going, no, we don't call it a penalty. He didn't take me out. It was racing. It's that's something no different than the college football playoffs thing. There's no exact science to a lot of this that we do in terms of sports and motorsports.
Anything else you want to bring up with that, David? I know that you talked about the fact that you would like to have seen them had qualifying maybe the day before or whatever, like wrap up qualifying, give yourself the entire night to set the grids for the heat race.
Yeah, Cody Schindel and I have talked about this before. We have it at Supernats where qualifying is your last session of the day. I think it was Rock Vegas where they went qualifying and then right in the heat races. And it's kind of like, you want to end the day with qualifying because then it gives you something to not only to talk about, but then you can go through all the different penalties. And especially if you're doing track limit penalties or even technical inspection, you want to make sure you get everything right. But yeah, I would now again, when we go to Portugal, I don't think, they announced we're going to Portugal in November for 2026 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. You don't have a track limit situation like what you do in Bahrain. So again, you can come back with the same type of schedule, but I think ending the day in qualifying would probably be a little bit better in terms of a format style for them rather than qualify in the morning, then go right into heat races. But Rotax is kind of set in their ways. We'll see what happens because, again, this mostly dealt with track limit issues for qualifying. But big picture wise, yes, we do like the style and the idea of ending the day with qualifying. You look at USBKS, we end the day on Friday with qualifying. We end Supernats Thursday. Wednesday. Right? No, Thursday with qualifying, so it's kind of the big events. You end the day with qualifying and you move into the heat races the next day.
That's it. All right, folks, that wraps up our discussion on the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. We're going to go to our final break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about our podcast and we'll have a look at where we're going to be because it's almost time to get started with 2026. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win. Back at it for the final segment of this edition of This Week in Karting, episode number 91, December 9th, 2025. Rob Howden here with David Cole. David, let's wrap things up here right now. Lots been going on. We pushed out a bunch of podcasts and again, playing a lot of different stuff on the EKN radio network. What do we got coming up here in terms of the EKN podcasts?
Again, download them through iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, and wherever else you can get your podcast. We'll probably work on a face-to-face and hot seats coming up over the next couple of weeks.
I want to get around. We already talked about a roundtable that we want to do, and I want to do that. I'm gone actually for the remainder of this week, so I think next week we'll look at potentially trying to the week after potentially try to put together a roundtable. Although we are getting around to the Christmas time and some breaks before we head into next year. But
what's the topic again?
What topic did we have?
I don't know.
I can't remember what it was now.
All right, we'll have to debrief on that.
God, what was it? I think it was racing standards. I think you and I wanted to kind of go back again to the Super Nationals and talk about racing standards. Get some of our industry members, a couple of drivers in to talk about just kind of go back and unpack the Super Nats and just how messy it was. It's funny that I say that when you're talking about the fact that we just talked about Rotax and kind of being an open deal where you can just be as aggressive as you want, but then Super Nats was put under this unbelievable microscope because I think primarily, and we'll get into this maybe in the roundtable, when the contact happened, drivers ended up in the wall instead of off the racetrack, right? So the results of the contact were more catastrophic at the Super Nats than they were at Rotax. But again, all part of a roundtable topic discussion.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know how much more we have to say about it.
I want to get people input from some of the experts in the field. We'll get a lot of guys on that deal. All right, let's just wrap things up. What's up? What's coming on EKN, folks? We are about a month away. In fact, January 9th to 10th and 11th, the SuperKarts USA Winter Series starting. We talked about it already. Speed Sports Racing Park, New Caney, Texas. David Colby trackside there. David, a month away. At least road tax is done. Christmas is coming. Got that break in the middle. Daytona is going to be there, of course, so there'll be some coverage there. But yeah, it's essentially a month before 2026 gets underway.
Yeah, we'll have both Winter Series January 9th through 11th, February 13th through 15th at Speed Sports Racing Park. Then we'll head to Challenge in the Americas, K1 Circuit, Winchester, California, February 20th through the 22nd. So that's the first three events on the 2026 schedule. And
you can get to In-N-Out Burger on all those, David. You realize that, right?
Ooh.
It's a longer drive in Houston.
I'm well aware of that.
But there's also a Freddy's very close to the track, which is good.
No, In-N-Out Burger.
That's it. Well, you have Freddy's at home. You're fine. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else, David? Anything else you want to drop in here?
Hey, again, just follow us on social media and get our podcast wherever you can.
There it is, folks. Yeah. Wrapping it up. Thanks for tuning in for this edition of This Week in Karting. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden.